All right, y'all, welcome back to Whiskier. Today, we're not doing a bourbon hunt, but I am super pumped. We're doing the first blind on the channel. Actually, not necessarily the first blind. We did in early times, bottled and bond versus each other. However, I knew what was in those two glasses. Today, I have no clue. I told him, I was like, hey, pour anything. It could be anything. I don't want to know what it is, but I do have one hint. Everything in these glasses are going to be 100 proof and below, which is going to be tricky for me. I tend to find I can figure out what bourbons or maybe what brands they are when I know that it's higher proof. Because if I'm drinking a Heaven Hill or a Beam, I know what that nuttiness tastes like, and I may not be able to tell exactly which distillery, but I can definitely defer the two. With lower proofs, all for me, they tend to be pretty mellow. You're gonna get a lot of caramel, vanilla, unless there's some rye in here. I really don't know. So I'm super excited for this. He has a glass as well, so we're gonna be tasting together, kind of seeing what we think about every single one of these. I'm gonna start from 1, 2. On the nose, it smells really mellow. It smells great. Not a whole lot is coming through on this besides white sugar, honey on the finish, and it's actually a decently mellow finish. It's still lasting in the mouth. It's pretty good. Have zero guesses what it is. That is pretty good. I don't want to guess a proof point yet because that is the very first sip of the day too. I might come back to it and then try to guess. Second one is even less on the nose for me. A lot less. I'm not getting a whole lot. But not in a bad way. It's not very alcohol forward, which sometimes, not necessarily in lower proofs, but in cheaper bourbons, you might find that it's very alcohol forward. Not saying that any of these are cheap because I have no clue, but I'm not getting that, which is good. But on the palate, this one does fall a little harsher for me compared to the two. If I had to pick one that I prefer, it'd definitely be the first one. This one is just, and this one's way more flat. I'm not getting that much of a finish. I don't know if you are. Not getting that much of a finish on this one, but I would probably use this in a cocktail, a mixer, something like that. This would probably make a great old fashioned. I like, one of my favorite drinks, and I talk about this a lot, I show all my buddies, is I like to mix whiskey with like a Diet Coke or a Coke Zero, but then you squeeze a fresh lemon peel, get all the juice out of it. It is one of the most refreshing drinks and a new way to drink your whiskey and Coke, not a typical way. So moving on to the third. Ooh, I like the smell of this a lot. For me, this smells like a little bit of a Christmas tree, like pine, but not overpowering. It's so good with that vanilla sweetness. This by far has one of my favorite noses. I like this. Man, I really do. I say it a lot. If you can get like a candle to smell like some of these bourbons or some of these barrels, like, oh, it smells so good. If you've ever been in a rick house, you know exactly what I'm talking about. On this one, wow, I really like this a lot. I'm not sure if I've ever had it. I don't even know if it's in my cabinet, but this is an unfamiliar taste to me. And it would be really funny if it is something I have in my cabinet, but this is really, really good. On the palate, I don't get as much of that pine on the nose, which is actually really cool. That's what I love about some of the bourbons and whiskeys. Like, you get certain things on the nose and then the palate can be completely different, or it can be the exact same. That's what's great about whiskey. It's like evolving. But so far, this one I really enjoy. It's different, it's unique. Not a typical bourbon or whiskey. Almost get the same thing. On the nose, at least. Let me see. Okay, no, I was wrong. I'm still probably smelling it from this after you tasted it. This one actually does, no, it does smell a little bit similar. Definitely less of that pine. I get a fruit nose, like a pear off of this, which is something I can normally not pick up fruits that well unless it's banana. On a bourbon, somehow banana and green apple, those are the two that just stick out. But this really smells like a pear to me. a little bit of funk on this one. Not in a bad way. Again, I like kind of a bit of funk because there's some times where I'm gonna sip on a sweet bourbon all night long. I'm gonna sip on something that I just know and love. But then there's times where I'm just like, I want that Elijah or that Heaven Hill Bottled and Bond nuttiness. Even though it's not my favorite bourbon in the world, it's sometimes just something that I want my palate that's not used to. I want to drink something different. And this would be that for me. Definitely a little funk, but it's good. I'd probably put it like here so far. Last one. It smells really good. Ooh. This almost tastes, go out a limb and say like a higher rye mash bill. I could be completely wrong, but that's what I'm getting off of this on the palate. On the nose, it smells really good. This smells more like the quintessential bourbons I'm used to, that sweet vanilla, sweet oak, caramel. This one really comes through on those, on the smell. That is really good. I'm finding it falls a little flatter than this one. I want to go through and I'm going to rank these. That's what I'm going to do in my favorite order because like I said, I have no clue. You know what I'm drinking. I don't. So I am curious to see, that's what blinds are all about. Just seeing which is your number one when you don't know what you're drinking. So I want to eliminate these two already, but I want to see which one I definitely prefer over the other. Yeah, this one, it's just so flat. I don't get a finish whatsoever on the palate. A lot of times with bourbon or whiskey, it'll hit you on a certain part of the tongue, like the center, the tip, the sides. It's kind of weird what it does. And I didn't know that until like they taught me a lesson at one of the distillers one time. They were like, hey, when you take a sip of this, try to think of what part of the tongue it's hitting you. This doesn't hit me anywhere, it just goes down, which isn't a bad thing. So maybe when we find out what this is, but you probably already know, this might be a great starter bourbon. You do still get some of the great flavors that you get out of bourbon, but for me, I tend to drink higher proof, so this just falls super flat for me. And this one just is, I don't even want to say ethanol forward because it's not high proof, but it has a sting to it almost on the tongue. It's like a bitter, and I don't think I prefer it over the smoothness that this gives you. So yes, you get a finish with this. However, it's not preferable over the non-finish that I get. So this is my last place so far. This is second to last. I'll just stagger them like this for my own self. Now we'll go back starting from one all the way to the end. This nose is so good. It's so good. Now, because this was the first sip, on this one, the finish is still really, really good, like it was, but right on the palate, you get a nuttiness to it. Just a small hit of nuttiness. And when I say that, I'm talking like a barrel nut or a peanut butter nut type deal. That's what I initially get on the palate, but the finish just mellows out. It's really smooth, a nice brown sugar, vanilla. I do like this a lot. This one is still so good all around. The nose is fantastic on this. The second time around, it's gone down and it's lasting on the palate even more. It's very like viscous for this low proof. It's oily and I like that. I like when a bourbon just kind of coats your mouth because that's something that you could sip on for a while and not have to like keep searching for things. It's just gonna give it to you right on the smell, right on the palate. This is really good. I do like this a lot. And I hope it's something that I can find, you know? That's what I always hope for in a blind. Like, I hope it's something that I could find. I hope it's something in my cabinet that I could pick up all the time. But I'm just super interested in this one today because this is not my cabinet and these aren't my bourbons. So I have no clue what this stuff is. This is really fun. It's like it wants to be this, but it can't. It's very similar. I don't know why I'm getting similar notes, but this is like the little brother to this one right here. And I want to decide which of these two I prefer. All right, I got the order. I'm gonna put this in first. So if we go back, yeah, this in first, second, third, last place, second to last. So that's what I have so far. Now I'm ready to see what I ranked.
Okay, I'll give you one more hint.
Okay.
It's all from the same distiller.
Really?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Do you have any guesses?
Yes. I would love to say this isn't Buffalo Trace, right? It is.
Yeah.
I would say the ones that I thought this for sure reminded me, if I had to guess, and I know I might sound silly now that I didn't guess the distillery, but this one definitely tasted like what I know a Buffalo Trace product would taste like. It's really good. It's super solid. Not that any of these were bad, but again, what I said was this one just fell super flat. Not a whole lot of finish to it. But again, for someone getting into bourbon, that's why these come recommended so much. I didn't hate a single one of these. These are some that I all really liked, but this one just fell kind of flat. But again, could be good for someone who started out, so.
You want to be your last place?
Yeah, last place. Be insane if one of these is a Weller 07. This is a small batch. I knew it. Let me tell you something right now. I'm pretty sure I told you this too. E.H. Taylor, bottled and bond, the small batch. I have said this numerous times, y'all. For whatever reason, this just does not sit well with me. I have it on my cabinet. A lot of the people I share with love it. And I thought, you know what? I might have bought a bad bottle. Even though these are small batches, they vary in different. Like sometimes one could be a little funkier than the other, but this kind of proves to me I was right. My palate is my palate. And for me, E.H. Taylor just never sat well with me. And it's bottled and bond, so 100 proof, aged at least 4 years. So yeah, that's my last place. I'm gonna go all the way right with this one. All right. Okay. Glass 2 was my fourth. It just very smooth, but fell really flat for me. And that's no surprise. And y'all might be surprised. So Blanton's, and this is a single barrel from Cheers. We actually just filmed at Cheers last night, and that video is released right now. If you want to check it out, go ahead and watch the Cheers video. We also did say that they get some pretty awesome picks, and this being one of them. Here's what's crazy about Blanton's. Not only are there single barrels, but I've had 3 single barrel picks now. A restaurant, and this will be the 3rd store. I don't like them as much as I like the standard Blanton's. And I've compared them to a regular bottle of Blanton's that you can find, not gonna say you can find, that you have to hunt for, because we all know how hard it is. And this is a lot of people's unicorn. This was my first unicorn bottle that I couldn't wait to grab. And I was not underwhelmed by it by any means. Now, do I think there's better stuff? Yes, obviously, because we have other things that are better on the list according to me. With Blanton's though, the proof is low. What is it? 93 proof. So it just always falls a little bit flat for me. And then being single barrels, I've had some barrels that are absolutely amazing and they sip way better than others. But that's what's so strange to me is the sticker, the picks of Blanton's tend to not do as well for me. So I'm not surprised, but for those of you that are looking for Blanton's, still looking for blends, I wish you all the luck in the world, because I remember I was in your same shoes hunting for that stuff. All right, and then bottle 5. Something I've never had before. Okay. Wow. I've never had Hancock President's Reserve. And this is the same mash bill as Blanton's. So the higher rye mash bill. And I want to say this is lower proof. Isn't this only 80? No, this is 88. Okay. So yes, definitely probably I would imagine the lowest proof on the list. But what's crazy is good bit of proof points lower than this. A lot of proof points lower than this. But my goodness, was it good? Like, I really liked it. I couldn't decide between, these for 2nd or 3rd. It was really, really good, super sweet. And that's what's really cool. I've never had this before. I don't have this on my shelf, never been able to taste it. So I'm not mad at that at all. That's something I might be interested in getting now. It's going to be Elmer, isn't it? No, okay. Hey, this is one of my go-tos. This is one of my go-tos, an Eagle Rare. And this is a single barrel Eagle Rare. You got this from Applejack's? Yeah, Applejack's here in the Springs, Colorado Springs?
One in Denver.
One in Denver. So this is a Applejack's pick up in Denver of an Eagle Rare. Personally, never had an Eagle Rare single barrel. However, Eagle Rare is one of my favorites. I keep it on the shelves at all times. For me and a lot of people here, it's gotten a little easier to find. I could probably find 4 or 5 bottles of this a month. Like I find myself passing on it a good bit because I want to find store picks and other things. But this is a daily sipper for me. You know, when people talk about what do they grab the most, this is one that I go through the most is Eagle Rare. Some of you, I'm sorry if you've never tried it. I hope that one day you can. We're going to be doing giveaways, okay? Giveaways in the future, and Eagle Rare is definitely going to be on the list just because I can find it so much and it's one of my favorites. I want to share it with y'all. So not mad at that pick at all. I like Eagle Rare a lot. Oh, yeah, okay. All right.
Cheapest one.
Cheapest one. That is amazing. Weller Special Reserve. I always have this on the shelf as well. And you know what the difference is out of this one versus all of these? This is a wheated bourbon. So this is the only wheated bourbon on the list. This is Mash Bill 1, Mash Bill 2, Mash Bill 1. Weller Special Reserve this isn't a pick, right? It's just the standard Special Reserve. I really enjoy Weller Special Reserve. I know it gets a lot of hate, but it's also being compared to its older brothers, your Weller 107, your Weller Foolproof, Weller 12, which I'm not a big fan of Weller 12. Weller Single Barrel is pretty much this maybe, but a single barrel. And then others that I'll probably never be able to see. But for what this is, I think I can find this for $28, $30. Fantastic stuff. Right now, I have the big 1.75 on the shelf, and I use it in the whiskey cokes that I was talking about. I sip it neat when I want something to start the day off. This is real sugar forward, like white sugar, super sweet. It's such a great whiskey. And this is also another one we're doing a Buffalo Trace lineup. That's to be expected. Some of these things are not easy to come across, but I think this is super interesting. I found out a lot tonight. Not really too surprised though. I could have said, like, if I saw this, I might have moved this a little bit further up, just based off of, you know, what's around Blanton's. When you see the bottle, everything about it, I'll admit it, it's a beautiful bottle. It's a great talking piece. And I always keep this on the shelf for when people want to come over. They've never had Blanton's. It's just something to share. Low proof, something good to get into. Not a fan of this, okay? I've said it before. So if any of you are ever looking for E.H. Taylor bottled and bond, and I see one, I got you. Because I just don't think it's something I'll keep on the shelf. Personally, I'm not a big fan. This, I don't even know how you found this, because this is like just as hard as Elmer T. Lee sometimes it seems to find this stuff. And but I really like it. It was really good. You know, these two were a split decision. For me, Eagle Rare is great. But like I said, I've never had a single barrel. I normally only had their standard batch. But this one was really good. Between these two, I said that. No, I believe I said this was like trying to be this, which is crazy. But yeah, I'm not mad at this at all. Are you surprised?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
A little bit surprised. Yeah, I know a lot of people would probably have this in this spot and probably these two crossed. But that's just the beauty of whiskey, and that's my palate. That's what I enjoy. All right, y'all, look, one thing I want to recommend is grab your partner, your spouse, your friends, whatever it may be. If they're at your house and you have some bottles that you want to try a blind, ask them, hey, can you please pour me these 3 bourbons, or completely randomize it? Just, can you pour me these bourbons? I don't know what it is, or I do want to know what it is, but not in what specific order, just so you can actually see which one is truly your favorite. Because you'd be surprised. I would say probably 3 months ago, I would have guessed this one's gonna be my favorite. So you'll never know until you actually try it. The great things about blinds is you're not actually looking at the bottle, knowing what you're drinking. So it's not altering what you're tasting. You're gonna really pull those great flavors out, the things that you really enjoy about bourbon. So please try and do yourself a blind. Please check us out on Instagram at Whiskier, and also subscribe to the Patreon. If you like these type of videos, I have a feeling we're gonna do most of these over on Patreon. We're gonna do a bunch of live streams where we're doing blinds. Like I said, $5 a month. It helps support the channel so we can support local businesses. Trust me, money's not wasted there. We have barrel picks coming. I have shirts that are completely finished. They are on the way to my house. I'm super excited for those. So again, thank you for watching Whiskier. We'll see you next time.